Okay,
that's a good organization.
We're learning Tanya. So, that's therapy for Rebbes or introduction for Rebbes?
I don't know.
The Rebbes need the therapy or they're giving the therapy?
I wonder if Rebbes need therapy. Well, the Baal Tanya was burnt out. Not burnt out, Chas v'shalom. The Baal Tanya basically was like, guys,
here's my sefer.
I'm going to give you a sefer and, go figure it out yourself.
I don't know if it was that hands off, but on a certain level, it was, in a way, it's the biggest matana because it empowered all the Hasidim for all the generations. Whereas if we would have just had Yekidus with all this Hasidim and never printed anything, Hashem Shemena would be lost.
Also, the nature of the sefer was so unique. No one ever...
Yeah, it's true. When you're learning Hasidic Sfarim, there's nothing like the Tanya.
This is like...
And then you learn his other Sfarim, Torah Or and the Kuti Torah and all the Maimarim and all the Rebbes. They're all unique. Chabad is completely unique. Well, you see how they're in their action nowadays. They're unique. There's nobody like Chabad.
Yeah, we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah, the Miyuchad. So
definitely Miyuchad for sure.
Yeah. So we've been learning about the Beinoni. I mean, this whole concept of the Beinoni. I don't think without the Balatanya we would have really had such a focus, because it was always the more traditional mode of the Rambam of like a tzaddik is someone who does mitzvahs and a rasha is someone who's done averos, and the whole thing is you're in this in between stage of balancing the good and the bad. That means the Beinoni does do averos. The chiddush was yesterday is that the Beinoni is as if, and that was the key word. You pointed it out. There was a good diak. Obviously your Gemara years paid off. All the learning, all those years of learning for that one diak, as if, meaning that it's as if he never did averos, the Beinoni. So obviously he did do an avera, like there's no such thing. We learned from Chazal, there's only 5 people or something who never did an avera. Binyamin, Yishai, Sarah Bat Asher, I don't know, I remember if that's correct. I remember who they all were. I remember all the names, yeah? Yotam, who was, there was Bnei Eliyahu, there was Bnei Eliyahu and Miyatain. There were very few people who never did an avera in history.
Eliyahu Navi?
I don't know. I think he was rebuked by Hashem a few times.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, because of the way he gave rebuke to himself was too much. It wasn't Malamed Tzchus enough. Hashem still loves his children, doesn't want us to butcher them spiritually. So he had to come back. That was part of the whole gezerah, that he has to come back every generation, every bris, to service Am Yisrael, because he was too harsh on us. But anyway, the point in being with the Beinoni, it's as if he never did an avera, but really he did, and he did tshuva. So there is that fluctuation, there is that room of going up and down between the Rasha She'eino Gomer back to the Beinoni. I don't think a Rasha Gomer can just suddenly become a Beinoni. I think there's steps and levels.
Right.
And remember, what defines a Rasha She'eino Gomer means that he gave into his Yitzhak and actually did something.
Right.
Good wasn't successful to overcome the bad on whatever level that is. So once that manifests, then it takes him into level Rosh Hashanah Gomer, but then he can do tshuva and it brings it back into the Beinoni, because it's as if he never did a sin. Because when you do tshuva, you milo all your various to mitzvahs as if you never did. All the things you did before were either erased or elevated. That's what we learned yesterday. Yeah. We had the Babich Rebbe's input. We saw the diak from Chaim Miller. So we're going. Let's just read over again the Beinoni. It's not too many lines. Just a chazan. Beinahu sha'olam ein ra gova kolkach l'kovish etzeir katana zabish b'guf lahatio dayenu shlosh levushay nefesh behemoth shehem machshavati b'masa. Yeah. So you got that, the intermediate man, as it calls it, or the Beinoni, or you call it the in-betweeners. There's a few different ways of explaining it. Yeah. Which one do you like?
I like In-Betweeners. It's a good name for a band.
Yeah. Although
the Intermediate Man is also, it's like a good song.
Yeah, it's a good song, but I think the In-Betweeners is a good name for a band. So
and the
name Chaim Miller is probably more up to date in terms of this. This translation, I think, was old. When was it printed? 1984 was the copyright.
Yeah. So much has happened since then.
Yeah, a lot has happened.
We landed a man on the
literally
moon.
40 years. Yeah. No, we had a man on the moon then, but 1984.
Supposedly.
All right, again, so now that's when our generation everything lost reality. I'm getting AI. I'll play it to you. I'm getting AI messages sent to me of Joe Rogan telling me he loves me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, how do you do it?
I didn't do it. My son saw it was my non-Jewish birthday yesterday, which is somewhat relevant. And he sent it, because I remember the first time I put tefillin on was Parshat Yaakov. So on my 18th, I think it was my 19th birthday, it was the first time I put tefillin on the week of my birthday.
Ah.
So it's like, it wasn't just the timing of it. Where is it? I don't know where I put it. Oh, here.
I love Ellie Goldsmith.
Yeah, that sounds
I
like...
love Eli Goldsmith. I love Ellie Goldsmith.
My son's very technically advanced, the third boy, the one who goes and works and learns in school. He's very
Which one? The super religious one?
That's the second one.
So who's the third one?
The third one's the tall one who came to the mill, sat next to me.
Him, yeah.
Travelled to Uman, went to Tiberias to Shabbos.
Right, you were telling
Works
me.
here as a manager of a store.
You are?
Yeah, he works in a store, so he's very technically, he knows how to use technology very high level, it's just natural. Some of my kids, it's harder for them. He's highly intelligent, taught himself English, he even knows some Arabic and Russian. He's one of these a little bit Eliyahu kind of people.
Oh.
Let me just wish him a good day at school, because there's always a question whether he even goes.
Why?
Every week he usually misses one morning, because his schedule is nuts. He's working all day after school till late at night.
Wow, how old is he?
And then he gets the bus back, and he has the scooters which helps him get around. He's only 16. He paid for a trip to Uman himself. He paid for Tiberias.
Wow.
Anyways, he figured out how to use AI to get Joe Rogan to tell me he loves me. So this is the kind of world we're in. Anyway, we have to be real with the generation, what we're dealing with. So basically things have gone out of control. I just saw Trump, Lipa Schmelzer posted that Trump's been nominated Lipa to be his vice president. Some AI video of Trump's nominating Lipa Schmelzer. This is what's going to be everywhere now. You're going to be looking, you don't even know what you're looking at anymore.
Yeah.
That is to say, the free garments of the animal soul, namely thought, speech, and act, originating and cleaver, do not prevail within him over the divine soul, to the extent of clothing themselves in the body, in the brain, in the mouth, in the other 2 of 4, 8 parts. Therefore, causing sin and defiling himself, God forbid. Rabbi Sachs once said that we're going to be the last people of the books. We're going to be the only people in reality by the end of it. Because the books, the Svarim, is reality. It's written by Tzaddikim, it's Torah, it's Masorah, it's Emes Amiti, it's Kodesh Kodashim. And everything else around us, the whole of technology world is going to become like Dimyonis.
It's also something we believe in. I think that most of this world has no longer believed in anything. Meaning most of this world questions everything, nothing's real anymore, everything's fake.
Questioning is not a problem. Why Jacobson says that's one of the milers of our generation. They're not just accepting the old system. They're questioning everything, but their goal has to be to get to improving the system, not destroying it.
Right, meaning questions it with the point of disproving it, not questions it from the point of understanding it deeper.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very big...
Then it's
just when your kid, when you say no to your kid and your kid says why, it's well, do you want to know why because you really want to understand, or you're just trying to drive me crazy?
Yeah. Finding out what the reason behind the question.
What's the real reason behind the question?
That's the famous Torah from the Bris Garav, or the Moshe also brings down. With the Seder night, we have the concept that you have Dalit Kashas. You have Kashas. Right. So with Lev Yitzhak B'Ditchev, it says you blind with the Kasha. It's okay to remain with questions. Having questions is fine. The key is that the questions don't become terutzim, don't become like Lipa Schmaltz's song.
Right.
When people ask him to come to live in Eretz Yisrael, he says terutzim. He has that whole song. Remember that one? But he did it with Matt Dubb. Yeah, it's a clever song, because the guy just keeps saying, "I have terutzim for everything. Well, I'm not going to come to Eretz Yisrael. I'm not going to this, not going to that." So there's always terutzim, but they're not really asking the real kasha of what does Hashem want. That's the whole real thing. When you're learning Torah, it should train your mind and your heart to get to a point like Lukuti Baron and Rabbi Nachman is all about getting to Emes Amito.
Right.
And with Chabad, we're clarifying how the soul works, so that then you can come to the Rav. Then you can come to the Tzaddik with the real question. You understand? Learning Torah, one of the main goals is just to get the right question.
Right.
Think about Tosas, all the different ways of asking questions, all the kashas. What is it for? To refine your soul and your heart and your mind, so that you can actually go and ask the Rav, the Maggid Shir, the Shalom Meshiv, real questions
Right.
that actually really matter and have nafkaminas and are in tune to the pshat that Hashem wants us to have, instead of just going round and round with all kinds of terutzim, which is disguised as questions. This is the whole thing. So when we have a clear picture of how the human psychological, spiritual makeup works, that we have this nefesh bahamis inside of us. But if we're on the level of a Beinoni, we're not allowing it to prevail, not once, in an active way.
Okay.
It's not expressing itself in machshava dibo ma'aseh. Only, let's read ahead. Rak shalosh levushe nefesh alikis heim levadam as boshim beguf shehem machshava dibo ma'aseh shetarag mitzvahs Torah. Yeah, they're implemented being what? They're only implemented how? Through thought, speech, and action in the 613 mitzvahs of the Torah. That's how they come alive. Now remember, you built physically 248 limbs, 248 limbs, mitzvahs aseh, 265 sinews, mitzvahs lo taseh, the positive mitzvahs, the negative mitzvahs. That is your body. That is who you are physically. Spiritually, it's the essence of who we are. We have Avos Hashem is mitzvahs aseh, the Yerus Hashem mitzvahs lo taseh, the Amunah Hashem, not going after Avodah Zorah. The two main of the Esed Dibros is the shorish of the mitzvahs aseh, mitzvahs lo taseh. This is the pnimis of our mitzvah. The Balatani says this later on. But the point is that when we get that clear, that that's how our speech, our thought, and our actions manifest is through these through the Torah. We bring everything into Torah, bring everything into mitzvahs. That's our guidebook of how to function, and that keeps us away from falling into Gimel Klubas Tameis and doing Averis.
Right.
And that's where the Beinoni is. He's constantly in that state. He's never committed. Remember, this was yesterday's learning. Lo ava avera b'mayamav, lo av yavo lo alam. Lo nikra lav shem MASHA, afilu sha'achas, rega achas kol yamav. Ach maos hatzim nefesh alikish shehein eser b'chinaseh, lo lehen levadon melucham shala be'ir ketana, ki im be'itim zmanim, kamo b'shas krishama, v'tfila shi shas mochin, the godless, Mali gam lamata hi shas kosher lo adam shaz mekasher chabad shelo la Hashem la amik dasa begalas asin so BORUCH o it's a hava vish beish b'chala yamini shveli b'davka bo b'kayim b'torah mitzvahs ma'ava she inin. I'm just going on and on. So the point is, before we go flying off onto that he's the previous statement of he never committed an avera, he never did a sin. That was, we touched that already, that it's as if he never did. Because according to the Tanya, just if we read it straight, if you and me would sit here with only the Tanya, no Rebbe Perush, no modern day, up to date Perush, and we just read the Balatanya, we would think that's the Beinoni. Never did it. So that's how we'd learn it. But thank God, there's a Masorah in Chabad. And
notes on Tanya's Rebbe, right? Was the Rebbe?
Notes on Tanya was the notes on the Rebbe, Perush on lessons in Tanya. Like it's the Perush on the Rebbe's notes. So it's coming from the Rebbe. It's coming from the Masorah of Chabad. So we can be samech on it. We can samech on the Rebbe that the real understanding of that phrase, he never did a sin his whole life, is if he never did. So therefore he's a Bala Tshuva in that respect. And he went from Rosh Hashanah Goma to Beinoni through doing Tshuva, and now the fact he's in that state means he never really did the Avera. Okay, so that's what we're on. Then we read on how the essence of being of the divine soul, which are 10 faculties, do not constantly hold undisputed sovereignty to swear with the small city. Small city is the marshal of us, the human body.
Right.
We have in us two hearts, right side and left side, and we have a moach, a brain. The left side houses the YITZCHAK, the nefesh bahamis, and the Yetzer Tov is in the right side of the heart, and in the moach, and that is where the nefesh elokis is manifest, the godly soul. And the Ir Katana is this concept of a war going on within this small town, a small city. There's a war going on between these different aspects. Now the Yetzer Tov, the nefesh elikus, bottom line, won't allow the nefesh bahamis to ever overpower it to the point where it affect the gimel levushin of diba ma'aseh and machshava. It won't ever affect the action, speech, and thought, but it will affect what's going on inside, the inner struggle. There is an aspect of it. How it manifests, I don't really understand that, honestly. What is it? If you don't have thought, speech, and action, what do you have? What is it? Some sort of subconscious
Well, it says
issue.
here, at an emotional level, the Beinoni is still torn between love of God and the desire for self-gratification.
Okay.
Though he has achieved enough through self-mastery not to allow these feelings to surface behaviorally in any way. I guess there's like a very, very thin line what goes from behavior to action, because here we're talking about machshava as an action. So, right, machshava is an action here. So, therefore, it's like somewhere even a step before the machshava. It's like.
Do you hear what I'm trying to say? Maybe it's a subconscious.
Yeah, it could be like even a subconscious.
Or superconscious, or the inner thoughts that people have that not to do with the more external clothing of machshavas, thoughts.
Right.
It's inner, because human beings are much more complicated than just three levushim. We have we're not just thought, speech, and action. We have subconscious. We have the whole psychological world works off the fact that there's whole elements of the brain and heart that they're still working on figuring out where that comes from. These thoughts, these inclinations, these drives, these intuitions, and then forget about getting into spiritual elements of the human soul. So they have once you start going there, without Svarim, Kadoshim, without Torah, you don't really have much Musag. Even till now, there is some sort of overlap a little bit nowadays, thank God, because people have become more spiritual in the science world. They're starting to be open enough to explore those elements a bit more, and therefore there's been some sort of overlap. But still, we're still very unclear, like of majority of what the brain does, and how to completely understand the heart, and all kinds of different scenarios that come up with human existence. We're still not totally clear. Like there's a large element we're unclear. So it's okay. As I said, we can live with kashas, we can live with questions of how this works, how that works, why we think this, why we do that. It's okay to live with all the complexity of the human heart and the complexity of the human brain. You can live with it. Our goal, if you follow Rabbi Weinberger's teachings or any of the tzaddikim that you're probably more connected with, is Peshitas and Tamimus, because he's a complex person, in my opinion.
Right.
He's a Holocaust survivor child. He's got very complex psychological inclinations where he talks about things very deep, and I would not say he's a simple person in the least. But his goal is simplicity.
Yeah.
Tamimus. That's his goal, that's his vision, that's his rotzen, to get to a place of simplicity where he does rotzen Hashem in a simple, pure way, which is very beautiful. Someone who has such a complex experience in life would want to get towards such simplicity.
He's like a real balavoda.
Yeah, so that's a lot of inner work. That means he's undoing naturally what he is, which is probably a complex person, to head towards a very divine path of tamimus, of simplicity. So that he's going against.
But that's the difference between him and you can't compare tzaddikim, but
I don't really understand where he's at all. I'm just guessing.
Like that someone like him, like the tzaddik that he is versus the tzaddik of
Eretz
Yisrael.
Yisrael. Words,
But like a tzaddik like in Eretz Yisrael who lives in Yerushalyim and like hasn't left the Dalet Amos of Yerushalayim his whole life. Two totally different.
The only thing is that when you say those kind of stories, because I grew up near MASHA, and like my kids grew up in MASHA the last 7 years, and I would say after my kids, much more giving me an insight to this, a lot of these people come from homes of all kinds of complex family dynamics.
Right.
That the Chareidi world can cover up with religiousness. They have their formalities of how they run their life. But underneath, there's a whole story and stuff going on.
Sure.
And these they documentaries and movies are always usually the dark side of it. All these horrible Netflix things that came out in the last few years.
Right.
They always focus in on the YITZCHAK, and there's no light over there. But really, in MASHA, there's tremendous light. There's tzaddikim, there's a nefesh. Sure. But the documentaries miss all that. They just go straight into the human problems.
Right. Well, no, what I was saying is that, I imagine that the experience of those tzaddikim versus the experience of someone like Rabbi Weinberger is that, Rabbi Weinberger is, in the grind. Right? He's, with all the people. Just with him. He understands everyone's struggle. He totally is with you in there. Some of the tzaddikim here, when there's certain tzaddikim that tell you, oh, you want to... And they're probably right? They say you want to whatever, put away your, get rid of your iPhone, get a dumb phone. It's they're probably right. But
I have friends who manage their business without a phone.
Yeah, for sure. I think about it. It's just
they've got Panasa.
I
the guy that keeps sending those gifts to the Chareidi from the Chareidi family here. He when you send you an email, it says every time underneath. His signature is, I do not have a smartphone.
Right, wow.
Because he's like, dafka.
I had a dumb phone for about a year. I got rid of my iPhone maybe like 7 years ago. 7, 8 years ago, I decided I was going to get rid of my iPhone.
I bet your wife is like, enough already, I need to contact you on WhatsApp.
It was like this was 8 years ago when the world was even totally different than it is today. True. But it was hard. It was very hard. Like I remember whenever I'd go, like there were times where I would drive to Manhattan, and I would be sitting in traffic for hours because I didn't have Waze. You know, and I'd be like, and it was like if I just had Waze, I'd be fine.
So the football did come up with solutions that you can have like certain filters, certain apps that help you function, but it means you don't have to be like controlled by it. You know?
Yeah.
But it's almost, Rogan says it's like a lost battle now.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
Like he has all kinds of gedarim himself because he's like an overly famous and everyone wants to access him. So he has all kinds of boundaries himself, like on his level. But the nukut is that we, so he has that level as a non-Jew, like to understand its dangers, but at the same time, his vote is like, you know, why fight the reality? Like figure out how to use it.
Right. Oh, it's the same Indian when I was a kid in yeshivas. Like when I was a kid in yeshivas, the idea they used to send home these. Like I went to different yeshivas, but at some point some of them were like more right wing than others, and so some of them would send home, like some of them would say, "Do you have a TV in your house?" No. Yeah. Or it's like the no TV, you know, for a month or stuff like that, and it was like.
And that's old school TV already.
That was old school, but it was also.
Because now with your phone, you have way more than TV.
Even when I was already like in the 7th and 8th grade, they would be like, "No Super Bowl, no this," and I remember being like, even as a kid, I remember being like, "Guys, like, why are you focusing on the Super Bowl? Why are you focusing on like?"
They tried to put me in Harim once. Like,
this is like a.
I was almost put in Harim once.
Why?
Because I made a concert that for all the yeshivas. It was called Unity of Bands. You can Google it. It's online, right? Eli Goldman, Unity Bands. And I had like 10 yeshivas involved, and all the yeshivas came and all the seminaries came. They used to only make it yeshiva boys, but I made it both, and I put a mechitza and I had people manage the mechitza.
Right.
And those people weren't even allowed to come because they were told to stay away from the event. I was going to pay them to do mashgiach, the mechitza, to make sure it's kept and there shouldn't be intermingling, like so I can honor these yeshivas. But they were like, no, you just have to get rid of them as a snoshim. But I didn't agree with that. I was like, no, let them come. Like you have Shirat David, you have a great mechitza, it works. Yeah? Right. Why be frummer than need to be? These are modern people. They're not. You're treating them like they're misharim. They're not. Yeah? Right. Like so, because I didn't come and go kiss everybody's whatever, and I just went ahead with the event anyway. So they couldn't put me in home because I had a Mizrahi guy called John T's Webner running it, and I didn't turn up on the night. My own event. That was my way of getting out of the Hirim. So I didn't turn up. I said, "This is a Mizrahi guy. Go talk to him. He doesn't agree with your hush. He's not under your authority. He's not in your yeshiva world." Yeah? So they couldn't do nothing to him, and but it ruined my progress in that whole world because I just had too much snagdus for the first few years. Yeah, and it ruined. I was bringing what I did. You know how much kids I prevented from doing crazy stuff that year by having this battle of the bands. It meant the whole year they were preparing for this concert instead of being on the streets and doing who knows what. I didn't know it was a whole. Yeah, I had loads of bands. One kid told me once, girls called him up, said, "Come out, let's meet up." And who knows what they would have done together. Instead, he went into the drum room and drummed on the drum set that I got donated. Wow, for a few hours and saved him from who knows what. And I got like hundreds of stories I don't know about. Yeah, but kids, because they were busy with the music room in the yeshivas and practicing and had something to be excited about other than just learning, so I was preventing a lot of Yerida. That's pretty amazing. That's how I've felt very L'Shem Shemaim about it. Mm-hmm. But I was up against. I tried to get the Amshanova and the Belzer Rebbe involved to get on my side, so I had some giant Das Torah, but it was really complicated to get hold of them to back it. They'd rather me just do it as a yochid and get involved with the Sibor. Right. It's too hard when you start doing things publicly, it gets too political. Right, that happened with Nika Schmeltz, right? Yeah, I remember watching them all coming to Gedolim. Like, I remember MBD, Mordechai Ben David, coming to Morgenstern. I was there that day, and I used to hang out there a little bit. So he came by Morgenstern, and he came in, and there was a massive meeting going on because it was about his concert in Yerushalyim. that it was mixed seeding, or even when Mechitza still wasn't good enough, so he ended up cancelling his involvement, and Avram Fried, I think, went ahead, something like that, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
But Avram Fried he had to be pulled out about that stuff, because he speaks to Tzaddikim like Morgenstern, they're very strong, you know?
Right, where Lieber Schmalzer got burnt with that.
Yeah, I mean, he came out of it okay now. He's okay now. He managed to figure it out. But, you know, our generation's all very different now. Back then, a lot of those Rosh Yeshivas who were against me are no longer around. They passed away. So then if I went in now and did a bigger status, I don't think I'd get the same as Nagdas.
I also live in Shirat David area, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, here there's no issue. But
Dude, I think
they were fighting out Rav Simai and trying to get him against me. It was like crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. It was really crazy. I mean, I was most nefesh. I put so much time and money and resources, about thousands and thousands of shekels into this event and resources to have a studio and all kinds of stuff. And I had to just like go into hiding. And I said, I'm doing this for your bochum. I understand why you should be cheering me. Why you had lost money because of Madoff. So I was now filling the space in, and they couldn't open themselves to just giving another guy an opportunity to help their own bochum. Because I wasn't from the system, you know.
Wow, it's wild.
Yeah, but I still stayed Yiddish from Shomer Torah mitzvahs and connected to all the tzaddikim. It didn't damage any of my relationships, as far as I know. It just meant it showed that these people are old school.
Right.
We're not being real with the neshamas of the generation, and there probably was enough communities.
Gewaldic, yeah. Wow. That's wild.
Yeah, so I've got lots of stories like that, but I'd rather not spend all the time talking about every story of mine, because it's annoying. The point is that when you're at that moment of small city, when you're not involved with the klal and the seaborn, you're just serving Hashem.
Right.
So it's during recital of the Shema and Lemida, which is the time when the supernal intellect is in a sublime state. So the beautiful thing is when you daven, real davening, not chitzonius davening, when you're really davening, panemius davening, you arouse your supernal intellect. That's what it says here. Yeah, your nefesh elokis, all the spheres elyonim, everything gets lit up. Because at the time of Kriya Shema Tefillah, he's shas mochin de gadlus. Yeah. Another better translation would be expanded consciousness.
And mochin de gadlus.
Yeah.
We call it mochin de kakness.
Yeah. So when you get mochin de gadlus, you're in a state of expanded consciousness. Your nefesh elikus and your mind and your heart is now completely dominant. It's completely running show. It's Moach Shoah al Alev.
Me and my friends call him Moich the Kaken.
Yeah, the
when you're stinking thinking. Because that's in Indian, it's called stinking thinking.
That's funny.
So we call Moich the Kaken.
So the Moach Shoah al Alev, your brain, Eliyahu ben Shlomo's brain, is now sholet on your mind and your heart. We've been learning as well, I think. Lamala gam lamata, hey shas kusha lekol adam. It's a holy time at that moment. Yeah, what's happening? And likewise, this is a appropriate time for every man when he binds his chabad to what? To Hashem.
Right.
The Hakohen binadash, your seichel gets dabik to Hashem, and you can meditate. Remember, this is the Chabad shita. You're now meditating deeply on Hashem. And Chassidus will be more your heart, it's slava, it's laev, it's a different, more it's balalus, and all these madregas that talks about in in the Machshavas Aveichim and all their svarim, the Lama, the Eish Kodesh, those kind of, it's more panemius emotions that awaken. The Derech Chabad is Hakohen binadas. It's Davik to Hashem, and now you're busy with his bodiness and the Gadlus Hashem, and the greatness of the Ein Sof.
Right here, it says here, supernal mind is broad and flowing. The Gadlus will find it easier to take the principles that you believe into your heart.
Yeah.
Right, when you're doing it, it goes functional, but you will find harder to just do that. When the temple stood, right, the Temple Mount, the Temple of Temples, the supernal mind, Noch Negadlus, was in a state of permanent expansiveness.
Wow.
Currently, however, it fluctuates during the day. During the morning, a time of vigoration and renewal, it flows into a state of expansiveness. In the afternoon, it wanes, becoming constricted in the evening. I experienced that.
Yeah, we do. We experience this every day.
In the morning, I'm flying in the spheres, I say to myself, Abba!
And it's going to be a good day. And then what happens?
And by the end of
by
the day,
about 11
I'm
o'clock,
yelling
the
at my kids.
Yitzhak starts kicking you in the tuchus.
By 4 o'clock,
But you're still strong enough to deal with it.
Right,
By 1 o'clock, you're still kicking it back.
So-
But you start to get notice that you've been on, like I was watching a Foreman and Ali fight the other day.
Yeah.
So you're pummeling away with Ali on the ropes. Yeah.
Right.
The problem is, after so much doing that, you get tired.
Yeah.
So by the end of the day, what happens? Suddenly the Eitzora, in this Moshe, it's Muhammad Ali,
Right.
comes and then knocks you out.
Right.
Because you tired yourself
His
out.
name is Muhammad, so.
Yeah, tired yourself out. So
Yeah.
you didn't pace yourself, because you're going to have this. The concept is you're having an awakening. Ruchnius,
Everything's okay here?
Gewaldig. It's our therapy office.
You heard
Yeah.
me? Yeah, come sit. We have a therapist.
What was that? Who grabbed their guns?
Oh, yeah.
Usually we're in the classroom earlier, but we've got a new time now, so we can't be in the
It's
classroom.
good, yeah. We're going to outfit it with some serious stuff in there.
You can have some candles and aromas,
Yeah.
and have pictures of the Rebbe Shlita.
Oh, 146. We scared everyone there.
We have pictures of the Rebbe Shlita.
Yeah, oh, the Rebbe, we gotta hang out.
Shlita.
Shlita,
Do you know this?
Shlita there.
The Rebbe Shlita. Who's the Rebbe Shlita? Moshe Weinberger, or it's the Babich Rebbe?
Huh?
Babich
The Rebbe
Rebbe.
Shlita, Rebbe. I have in
Weinberger.
my house the Rebbe. I'm trying to get a picture of Rebbe Weinberger. I have to get the perfect one that captures his, like, just this warmth and mystic. It's very hard. I have to follow up with my friends about it. We want Mashiach now.
Yeah, we want Mashiach now. So the idea that you're in this state of greatness, of Mochen de Gadlus. You've awakened your
That little
Chochmah
song.
Bina Das.
My 3-year-old sings this song all day now. I don't know where he learned it. He says in Gan.
Oh, that's
But
good.
all day he just sings. We want
It's a catchy
Mashiach.
thing.
And I'm like,
I sing it also.
one day he starts singing it to me, and
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
We used to
It
sing
was like
every
a day
night.
after Shlomo's like
Yeah.
shir, and I was like, wow.
Until you internalize, your
It's a
kids are telling you
struggle.
the
I
truth.
struggle with the whole inyanim of like the messianic mindset. You know, it's
Yeah.
like a very new Inyan for me.
It was totally Chabad, like in terms of the last 60, 70
But
years.
it's a very
Everyone's
interesting
talking about it now,
flavor
all the
of
different
Chabad.
paths, but Chabad was the leader in bringing it to consciousness.
But it's a certain shalab of Mashiachness that is not. It's like a. It's not. It's just not. I don't know. It doesn't feel like this is like mainstream Chabad Mashiach mindset. It's like a.
No, if you really talk to a
It's
Chabadnik, they all even the most non-Mashiachas Chabadnik, like a very academic, like Simon Jacobson or someone like that, he holds the Rebbe was the closest thing we've ever had to Mashiach.
For sure,
And the Mashiach Akshav is a whole Torah. They'll learn it as
Right.
a Torah. It's Torah.
I should really.
Mashiach now is a Torah. It's not an external
No,
thing.
but it's more of like the Mashiach in this like.
I spoke to a Rabbi once
Medina.
publicly. We had he let me ask a few questions in his shit
Right.
in Monsey, and I said the Rabbi minds. I'm going to ask a few controversial questions.
Right.
Mashiach now. He said Mashiach now. He started going off on it. Torah,
Right.
it's Torah.
No, Rabbi Shimon Jacobson said he's like again he was it was a tightrope, but I think it's even one of the back of his books. He says he's like people ask me was the Rebbe Mashiach or is the Rebbe Mashiach? He's like when the Rebbe was alive. If you look at it, like
Closest thing
it was the closest thing we ever had to Mashiach. Like
Definitely.
I believe he was Mashiach.
at that time. Yeah.
He's like, I don't know if there's anything wrong with that. He's like, now he's not alive, his neshama's not around. He's like, then you start getting into very complicated questions and,
Sure.
canon and rough or not. He's like, but his answer was like, if that's what you're focusing on,
Yeah, it's missing the
then you're
point.
missing the whole point.
He didn't want anyone to focus on him. He
Right.
hated that. If you really are a chassid of the Rebbe, he hated the focus on him.
Right,
He wanted it to be focused on the mission.
right, exactly.
That's what we learned yesterday. The mission of serious nefesh.
And my concern
Serious
is more
nefesh.
Mashiach within this like Medina, like there's like a shlav of like, it's like it's a
Yeah.
different. I don't know if like all the Chabad people, like, but again, I think Chabad.
You remember, you don't judge the Torah by the Jews,
Right.
ever. Even the Torah of Chabad by the Chabadniks. Because the Torah of Chabad is the ideal. And the Chabadniks are Ben Adam Basof. They're human beings with nisyonis and YISRAEL and political reasons that they want to do this and that. Maybe if they really listen to the Rebbe, there won't be any of those things. There'll be a tzaddikim, and it'll be changing the world, which a lot of them are doing. But there's still going to be a chevra who are going to make a noise, who have their agendas or have their mistakes. They misunderstood what the Rebbe meant.
Right.
They think he really wanted him to be the focus, but he did not. I've seen it in Torah, in writings. The Rebbe again and again told them off for making him the focus.
Right.
But my Rebbe said the best thing: you want Mashiach to come, get out of the way.
You get out of the way, yeah.
Get the Rebbe out of the way. Get everyone out of the way. You only should just be Hashem's Gilui.
That's the thing.
That's
we
Mashiach.
need to let go and let God.
Yeah.
We need to get out of the way. And
Hashem runs everything great. That's why I keep trying to explain to my Rebbetzin and people around me, like, just please let go, like, because we can't control things.
Run the world.
Yeah, like right now I'm under so much pressure to change this and change that. I keep telling them I don't think I'm going to be able to change it, and they're like, "Oh, it's because you don't want to. If you really wanted to, you'd do it." I'm like, "No. I really want to. I just really want to wait for Hashem's timing." I'm much more into Hashem's journey and His timing for things than my timing. My timing, I might be successful if I force it, but it's going to come in nafkaminas.
Right.
You understand? Like every time they try to force Mashiach or force entering YISRAEL, like we see in the whole story of the after the Sipur, the Meraglim, there was the whole, what's they called? The Mapilim. And they forced themselves to go in YISRAEL. It was a massacre.
Right.
Everything went wrong. We can't force Hashem.
YISRAEL, have no fear, Mashiach will be here this year.
We force Hashem's agenda, it's just going to backfire. We have to do it in Hashem's time frame.
You got to do it only in Hashem.
So you see, even in the day, this is the point here. The day you're going to have ups and downs. We mentioned this word before, fluctuation. I feel very comfortable with this fluctuating concept. Now remember, it doesn't mean you're sinning. It's fluctuating on this inner sensitive world of the inner dynamics of your soul, between the Yetzer Tov, Yetzer Hara, between the Nefesh Elikus, Nefesh Bahamas. The Nefesh Bahamas is never getting victory in action, deed, or thought, but it's influence. So it comes in the morning, your energy of your Nefesh Elikus is empowered through the davening, and you're mochid the galus, and you're omek with the Chabad, Hakohen bin Adas, into the galus of Borei, with the omek Adas. Let's see where the Loshen uses. You have to be medayik in the Loshen, very important, because we have to try to keep to the Tzaddik's words. Yeah, well, what's the word? Can you read it for me? Whoa, how
you doing? How you doing?
Yeah.
This is like episode shtickle.
Yeah, it's situation. This is his bonus. No, his bonus. His bonus would be to speak it out. That's the nafkamin in Breslov and Chabad.
Right.
The Chabad is an Indian of the Mayach. It's an inner musagim of seichel, of deep chokhmah bina das. We're going to learn more about this process of chokhmah bina das. L'oretz ha'ava, to waken up. And this is just the beginning of explaining the Beinoni. So we're going to go really into this. To orer, to waken up the ava. Karish be'esh, like a fiery flame in the right side of the heart. This is really important lines. This is really the crux of the
flaming fire. Karish pe'esh.
In the right side of the heart.
Of love.
The davka boy. This is what one of the chiyuvim of the Torah of the Raisa, to be davik to Hashem. It's actually a chiyuv. It's chiyuv the right to one of the mitzvahs. To davik. One of the ways we learn is through davik to Tamar Chachomim.
You have to is Hashem l'kacha b'chol avacha.
Yeah, and we have a mitzvah, the kiyum of the Torah, the mitzvah said, "Bahava, to love Hashem."
Attach himself to God through the fulfillment of the Torah.
Yes.
And its commandments out of love.
Yes.
Shazahu Inyan Hamavur B'Kriya Shema Deraisa. There you go.
Yeah, Kriya Shema Deraisa. I have to Shem Lekech, like you just said.
Over here, so there's a threefold process.
The broch is before and after.
The focused meditation on G-D, leading to emotional arousal, and a renewed commitment to observe the commandments is indicated by the commandments of the text will say. So he's saying, you have to first really get into a state of hisbonenut.
Yeah, back in Shachris. Yeah.
Right, where you're hisbonenut, and then you have that emotional arousal, right? That karish pe'esh.
And we're going to learn there's different levels of emotion. There's ava, Tanugim, Ava Rabba, Ava Azza. There's all these different types of love. There's Ava Bina. There's a Yira Bina, which is a more seichel Ava and Yira, and then there's the original emotional Ava of Ava and Yira. Yeah, there's intellectual Ava Yira. There's emotional Ava Yira. We're going to learn all this. This is going to be part of the journey in Tanya of the different.
Right.
And it's quite complex. It's quite deep, and we're going to have to hold cop. But right now, what's happening, Shachris, just by saying Kriya Shema, you have the mitzvah d'oraisa Kriya Shema, you are awakening. Have Hashem Elokecha and the Yichud of Hashem. Hashem is one, v'chulu, and you're with whole of for both sides of the heart, you're serving Hashem. And then you come into the bracha before and after. That is the mitzvah d'Rabbanim, which he just said. Shehen Rabbanim he'achana lekiyim krishma. They help us, the mitzvah before and the brachas before and after, help us makayim this mitzvah krishma, the rights of the full shleimus, through the brachas of Birkas Krishma. They are servicing the Birkas Krishma to prepare us to be able to do the Birkas Krishma and fulfill it fully. Because remember, Yotzim Ma'oris is awakening our awe of Hashem, the Romamus Hashem, the Romamus Hakel, the awakening up the awe, how awesome he is with all these angels, and he created this higher level world called the Olam YITZRAEL. And then we go into Avarabba, which is starting to head towards Olam Bria, which is the idea of awakening the higher levels, intellectual levels of Ava and Yira in Torah, Yachid Levein Ava Yira Shemecha, Arneini B'Sorasech, all these beautiful tefillahs. And then when we're saying the Shema, we're awakened with that higher level Ava, with the Shema and the Yichud that we're saying. So every morning we're going out from this Mochen Dekatness in the morning. We wake up in the morning more feeling the Nefesh Bahamas, because that's how you wake up. You're in a state of kilo like in Mitzrayim, in a more meitzarim of your guf, and then you awaken the Nefesh Elikus more and more throughout the Shachris till you get to that level during Birkas Krishma and Krishma, where you are now in the state of Mochen Degadlis, if you daven properly. And that's Kamash Kosa. Yeah, what's he say? Kamash Kosa b'midrash
Chapter 46 and 49.
Oh, okay. So later on in the Tanya, Va'az hara shebechala asmuli kafuf. This is the important part. For understanding the Beinoni, that the left side of the heart now is kafuf.
Kafuf, right?
It's subjugated, subdued. You said a good word before last week of subdued.
Subdued.
Is that the word here?
Yeah, he wrote here suppressed.
Suppressed, okay.
Right.
Batul l'tov, and it's nullified. Is that the word he used? Nullified to good.
Voided.
Say again?
Void.
Yeah,
batul l'tov.
Void, okay. It's void to the good. Mispashet b'chala yamini, and it spreads out in the chala yamini,
which has spread to the right chamber.
Yeah, v'chabad sheb'marach v'koshim b'gadlas ein sof baruch hu. So because the right side is overflowing now with the Gadlas Ein Sof Baruch Hu, with the greatness of Hashem, in this Ir Katanas, so-called you're the Ir Katana, the small city, is now overflowing on the right side of the Gadlas Hashem of your
magical,
heart.
like this, we should really copy and paste this and teach this to every child in yeshiva, and when they say Shema.
Yeah.
And when you say Shema, like your mamish, you don't know what's going on, your brain is connecting to the Chachma Bina Vadas, and it's blowing your Yetzer Hara, your Nefesh Bahamas out of the water.
Yeah, it's subduing it.
Bittul for that temporary, it's a temporary space of just pure light.
I would go as far to say that you get to the level, if you do it fully in the highest level, of becoming a tzaddik.
But tzaddik, I think that's where
why do you become a tzaddik? Because you now miyat the ra so much that it's no longer there anymore. Wow. Or it's shadik she'enu gomo at least. Yeah. So there is a moment, but remember, this is all fluctuating. So really, it's still on the level of Beinoni because it's still there. Because why? How do we know it's still there? That's going to be the next shtickle. What happens?
But he says here a Hasidic thought. Let's have a Hasidic thought.
Go on, before we get to the but.
My inner core is unrefined, leading me to have a mixture of urges towards personal gratification and towards God. But if I focus my mind on the Shema and on prayer at a time when the supernal mind is in a state of expansiveness, which is like we were saying in the morning, or just in general when we're harnessing the Chach Bina Vadas, I will experience a temporary flooding of emotions for God. Then my urge for self-gratification will be temporarily silenced. A Hasidic thought brought to you by Rabbi Chaim Miller.
Very nice.
And Unity for Tanya.
Very nice. So the idea is that you...
And Joe Rogan.
He loves Eli Goldman.
Ahavdillah.
He wishes he could learn the safe. He would learn the safe, it would blow his mind off.
I know.
But he's not yet a cleave.
Maybe then he'd be pro-Israel.
It wouldn't be. I don't want it to be pro-Israel. I want it to be pro-truth, the soul. Because Israel's not perfect. Also, you think as much as I'm pro-Israel, my son's fighting the army, but I'm not pro the Medina.
No, not Israel.
To do so much too.
Like when he was talking about the Israel, he was like, "Yeah, but the innocent people in Gaza, I don't be like."
Yeah, but you know what? It's a time on us because we don't do good PR. And we haven't communicated properly to the world. And we have our own left-wing Jews, or whatever they are, liberal Jews, who ruin. He would not be saying that if it wasn't for us. I'm telling you. There's a guy like Dave Smith. He's a Jew. He's very good friends with Joe Rogan. He'll go and speak against what we've done in the whole situation over there. And he's a Yid. Why is he speaking that way?
Right.
Why isn't he coming out with Jewish conclusions? Because he doesn't live a Jewish life.
Right.
Doesn't learn Tanya. He's not connected to this Nefesh Elikis. So he might be a Yid physically.
His Nefesh Bahamas is totally...
And he's got an intelligent Yiddish cop.
Klipa, all that stuff. And his other friend, Ari Shafir.
Yeah.
I don't
He
know.
was a yeshiva guy.
Or he was a yeshiva guy.
He's now done vasectomy. It means he can't have children. That's nebuch.
No. Wow. So that's a Kares situation right there.
Could be.
I think it's Kares.
I'm not judging him. Though. In the end, everyone's on their journey, and Mr. Hashem, all these people will do tshuva shlema.
Amazing.
We learned yesterday the idea that even by Rishon Gemara, the Shekhinah is still shura.
Right.
And have a makif, and there's always Lakudas Tovas. Hashem has a way of bringing these neshamas to a good place somehow or another. So we're not here to judge anyone, but we never really know what's going on inside people. But the point is, as you can see, we don't really know. We don't really know inside a human being. We don't even know inside ourselves.
You never know.
But to get to clarity on ourselves is so hard. So then we should for sure know. That's why when my wife today, I told her, don't message, don't get involved with family stuff.
Right.
Because I always know deep down that you never really know. Maybe they're in a totally good place about this. It just manifests in a complicated way. And there's no point in stirring up the bee's nest, if you know what I mean.
I know what you're saying.
And I always feel Darkei Shalom is always the right way to go. But it's hard because in the end, people need to communicate their feelings and they're not received properly.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's very difficult. Some people aren't in safe positions where they can communicate their feelings. And then it's very complicated. That has nafkaminas also. But anyway, these are complicated. And we're back in the therapy room again. So
it's because
the idea, so then this is a big oba.
Sure, timing wise,
We'll just finish off another 5 minutes.
There.
About after tefillah, this is the important part. We're now after tefillah. You and me are sitting here after tefillah learning Tanya. Because by the way, once you got out of Mitzrayim, what's the point of going to Mitzrayim? What do we do in the Torah? What happened? What do we get?
To the Yam Suf.
Yamsuf, Mokin de Gadlus. That gave us money.
Gadlus,
What do we then get?
And we got the Luchot.
The Torah.
The
So then
Luchot.
that should be the Seder of a Yid's day. You go out Mitzrayim, through tefillah, you come to a relationship with Hashem. Like most Kriyas we even say that Az Yasher every morning. And we say Zeikim Mitzrayim and Kriyas Shema.
Yeah.
At that point, we should be in a place where outside of Mitzrayim. We're now back in the Mokin de Gadlus. We're no longer Mokin de Gadlus. And now what you do with that Mokin de Gadlus? You learn Torah. Which is what we're doing now. We're learning Torah. So this is what you do after tefillah. You learn Torah. After tefillah, mitzvah is a mokin. Problem is, that after tefillah you have a bit of food and you schmooze about whatever. The mokin de Gadlus it goes away. Departs. Ein sof BORUCH. Hari hara chozev v'nir b'chala v'smoli. And the evil returns and awakens in the left side of the heart. Yeah, and he wants the biscuits over here. And he needs to have his physical needs met.
Only since his evil.
Yeah, the soul, because the evil is not the sole authority and dominion of the city, is unable to carry its desires from the potential to actual. By clothing itself with body, limbs, deeds, speech, and permanent thought.
You know, it's like this. Like I feel like the Tanya, when the Baal Tanya wrote this, it's almost like he has this little subtle. It was like a subliminal, subtle message that he's sending us, as if like you think you're the Russias. Like we all read it and we're like, oh, we're the Russias, but really he's saying you guys are not the Russias. You're the Beinoni. You just think you're the Russias. You know, it's like.
Trying to correct people's way of thinking.
What?
Because at that time, historically, people were thinking like they had the Magidim coming telling them Rishoyim.
Right.
And giving them Musa.
Like
and the whole tikkun of the Chasidus was to undo that.
Like if
was
really,
to show that we're all Davik to Hashem Be'etzim.
Like the Baal Tanya knew what people were up to back then and what people would be up to now when we're learning it, right?
But he's giving us a daily mechanism to understand ourselves.
And what he's basically
so
saying is that
even though it's so high, it's so practical because it's so deep. It's really what's happening within.
Right.
You're having this moment of every davening, even if you're not such a big Bama in your davening. It's happening anyway. You're saying the words on the Panimis level. What's going on? This whole CS Mitzrayim experience of getting the Torah and getting to Mokin de Gadlus, and you're in a more neshama different
it's
state.
Like, I think it's also like this Indian of like if he called the Beinoni a tzaddik, then we would just be like, okay, that's a tzaddik. Like nowadays, what Rabbi Weinberger said also is that like we've really cheapened the word tzaddik.
Yeah, he's very
But
nice.
like back then, I bet you the word tzaddik was
Meant
like
something, yeah.
calling someone a billionaire. You know, it's like, oh, he's a billionaire. Like, he's not a billionaire.
He had
Like,
value.
most people have never met a real billionaire in their life. They
Yeah.
just think he's worth $1 billion because
Yeah.
he flies in a private jet. Like a real
There
billionaire.
don't that many of
is like-
them, yeah, as we
There's
think.
only a handful. They have a list of them. They
Yeah.
can name each and every single one of them, and there's not really any.
They say in the Syrian community there's one or two.
Yeah, maybe there's a couple, but they're not. Some of them are just not even real billionaires. They just have assets that are worth over $1 billion.
Yeah.
But you then look at the debt that they owe.
Ah.
They owe 70% of it is bank loans. So your
Wow.
net worth, right?
It's complicated.
Meaning, if I think of a billionaire as a guy, if he sold his whole entire parnasa, would he have over $1 billion, right? And a guy like Elon Musk has that because he can just like that liquidate him. A lot of these religious Jews from Jews
yeah.
are like they
How
have
much did he buy Twitter for? 47 billion or something?
right, like a lot of these.
That was money he had access to.
Yeah, a lot of these from Jews like have billions of dollars of assets, but they also have billions of dollars of debt.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's not so
That's
simple.
why I always say to my wife, she said, how do they do it with the nice cars and the nice this, nice that? And just to buy a nice car in Israel, it's second-hand, it's 100,000 shekels.
It's crazy, yeah.
I can't afford that. So she was asking me, how do they do it? How do they do it? She was asking me this question.
Right.
So I said, there's all kinds of money tricks, with payments and all kinds of stuff, because they're not making that kind of income. So
Right.
it's tricks.
I was
It's
talking to
games,
Rav
the money
Shimon
system.
God about money. He was saying it's interesting. He said during Gullus,
Yeah.
Parnasa is supposed to pour all the way 90% to Eretz Yisrael and then pour over to the Gullus.
Sure.
But he said Gullus, the curse of Gullus is that it pours first to
Yeah.
to Chutzarts and then pours.
Really?
Oh,
We should take this one. I'm not
The one
using
that you use more often?
But I use both.
Yisrael will have no fear.
What we have.
Mashiach will be here this year. Am Yisrael will have no fear. Mashiach will
this
be
one.
here this year. We want Mashiach now.
We want Mashiach now. We
Okay.
don't want to wait.
Should we wrap up now?
Yeah, let's just finish off. So he says the idea that therefore it's possible to follow the wicked fool to rise opening the left part of his heart, creating a lust for material. So it awakens, it awakens that part of the soul. But it doesn't. That it doesn't do. It doesn't take over.
Right.
Yeah. The conscious attention and enjoyment of the mundane pleasures outside the last of the heart because his brain moves over the heart. At the end of the day, that's the last thing we should say. The brain rules over. So the brain won't allow in a world of Beinoni for to ever take over.
The brain runs over my heart.
Yeah. And that's a Chabad concept because Chochmah being a das is the focus. The Chabad, the Mochin, are sholit on this person. And therefore the Beinoni will, even if he has that fluctuation from the Nefesh Elikus and a bit more of an experience the Nefesh Bahamas, but the Nefesh Bahamas is never sholit. The Baruch is always sholit.
Nothing happened, nothing talked
Amazing.
about.
I don't know who you are.
I don't know anything.
What's your name?